Hello, everybody. I want to get one thing perfectly clear. Listen, so I wasn't alive. I wasn't born yet. I was born in the prime, like the time, like at least a few months before the period WWF was winning the Monday Night Wars, or near the end of it. It was like November. Oh, so when Steve Austin was like the week before Steve Austin was ran over, before Survivor Series. Or I think it was in the Survivor Series pay-per-view. Steve Austin was ran over. That was when I was born. I didn't watch WWE until like 2000, like mid 2000, like 2004, 2005, and then I started watching consistently 2007. So I have this basic history of like, oh, this must have been a fun time back then when everybody was a freaking wrestling fan. Everybody knew who the wrestlers were and all this shit. And now it's 2020. Sure, this pandemic was going on, but 2019, people were ecstatic to know Wednesday and Wednesday NXT is airing on USA at the same time as Dynamite's premiering on TNT. So everybody was excited for that. People call it the Wednesday Night Wars for a glorified developmental company. I mean, developmental program, and starting from the ground up, wrestling show that actually has legitimate professional wrestlers that are actually going to be given legitimate storylines that are long casting well. Like guys from NXT, they're still willing to go to SmackDown and Raw. So the point of this actually being a legitimate part of a competition when it shows in the statistics from the Wednesday Night Wars that NXT hasn't been pseudoly competitive since November of 2019 when they were up for the 800,000s. And that was the time when NXT was premiering on Survivor Series for the first time. Keith Lee, AJ Styles had a match with Finn Balor, even though these guys wrestled before on Raw. It like makes no sense. And you call it a competition? And then I hear something about, oh, Dave Meltzer, like, imagine we had this wrestling. Stop. WCW and WWF wouldn't be watchable. What you remembered about, you remember the 5-star classics with Pete Dunne and Adam Cole, or Keith Lee with uh Dominic Jack. I'm sorry, I'm terrible with names. It's not that I have made mistakes in the past, but Jesus Christ, I'm really not good with names. But dude, these are the statistics. And most of these were November. A recorded 5 times or so NXT ever beat Dynamite in the ratings. And most of them were either equal by a near death experience. I mean, one was on a 916 to a freaking 890 893. They were pretty close. The rest were shutouts. Premiering for the first time they premiered a 1.4 to an 891 viewing in the afternoon on a fucking Wednesday for the USA Network. People are only gonna watch it because Raw's there. SmackDown had a better ratings, and it was SmackDown on a Tuesday, the night after Raw, for a 2-hour premiering. Now imagine you do that for a developmental show that's normally an hour of content. They'll show a couple squash matches, a couple highlights, but ooh, you have Kenny Omega, Cody Rhodes. Of all these guys, you have the Lucha Bros, amazing Lucha Libre stars. You give them multiple of creative ideas. What does NXT have? War games. They have one gimmick match. They barely go through storylines until these guys head up to the main roster. And most of these guys don't even pan out when they actually face up against legitimate pay-per-view guys. Their takeover events are just specials. They're not legitimate pay-per-views like Revolution, All Out, Fyter Fest, or anything else that these guys do. So it kind of makes no sense that they even think that this is even a Monday Night War, Wednesday Night War, when they haven't beaten like AEW in a competitive rating since December of 2019 in the 18th. That's sad. That is truly sad. So I don't get it. I don't get why people are even excited for this. Because there's no damn reason to ever. It is now the 25th. It was the 25th yesterday. Guess what was the ratings for NXT? It's been 2 weeks. And they were 4,000 viewers behind at the 18th of March. 932 people 32,000 people viewed Dynamite, while 542. I saw like a huge highlighted segment for the last remaining 10 minutes of NXT on goddamn Finn Balor. And what he did to change NXT, you changed like a bigger FCW. How is that impressive to a franchise by the ground up by your previous employee, Cody Rhodes? So, how is that any way, shape, or form impressive? I didn't even want to count this as a Wednesday Night War because you actually had an exciting new wrestling show in a used to be a big channel for professional wrestling. You think people aren't going to try to view that than the glorified FCW, but for the bigger work rate? And whoever thought this was better than the Monday Night Wars needs to be shot in a office somewhere, secluded from the area so it doesn't get coronavirus, and so nobody sees the body. It's just a dumb, silly thing in the world that you think NXT and Dynamite are equivalent to when WCW was matching up with WWE, two established primetime televised programs that have their own household names battling out to see who's going to make it. NXT, Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, Bobby Fish, and of course Kyle O'Reilly are building themselves up so they can go to Raw and SmackDown. So that's going to lose its luster. I understand the only thing different about NXT is that they changed their roster in a few years. While these guys are established guys that's probably going to build themselves to the main event scene and make Dynamite more popular. Matt Hardy, Jericho, most of the Inner Circle, Jake Hager, Dustin Rhodes, Evil Uno, Brody Lee, or fucking Luke Harper, if you want to say it. Cody Rhodes, Kenny Omega, Ray Phoenix, Pentagon Jr., Orange Cassidy that built himself, Cole Cabana's on Dynamite. So there's a majority of different, of course, Nyla Rose, Chris Statlander, Penelope Ford, Sunny Kiss, whoever. There's like any taste of wrestling you can get, and it's on a weekly basis, and they go storyline after storyline, and they're trying to build up their show from the ground up. So you'd rather see that. I'd rather see Chris Jericho than Adam Cole trying to get a 15-minute match out of me that tells no story except it gets fast paced, and you'll get a near fall after near fall. It's dumb to even think this was a race to begin with, other than NXT is on TV. The capital they're getting for it is not even that impressive. And even when they do, it's because they're carried by the main roster. So what's the point of watching NXT and thinking that this is a Wednesday Night War? I don't get it. NXT been in airing longer, and it's been on the network, so it's been easily accessible for people that were subscribers. So what's the point of watching this shit If you're gonna just watch Dynamite anyway, I have more Dynamite reviews than I did NXT. I've only did, I think, one regular episode of NXT reviewed, when I did several episodes of Dynamite reviewed, and I think I'm supposed to do 2 in a row now. Thanks, I missed that on the previous episode, 18th episode with Lance Archer and Matt Hardy making an appearance at Dynamite for the first time. And that was a big moment that we literally shouted out, delete. That's the first time in a while I felt like marking out to a wrestler with a cool gimmick, showing up on a big wrestling program, and actually being excited to see him in the show. When can I say that for NXT, except for the recent episode when they did a dumbass, awkward vignette immediately to the top rivalry in the company, and they immediately show fucking Killer Cross in the goddamn vignette. It was so corny. It was so dumb. It didn't feel intimidating. It didn't even feel exciting. Because we know as soon as Killer Cross wastes like 2 to 3 years, he'll probably just go off to the main roster with very little storytelling. Yes, TNA levels of storytelling. So what's the point of signing him? I don't get it. I hope you guys do. I think that this Wednesday Night Wars was a joke in my opinion. If this was a more legitimate wrestling fed, or like something that WWE would rather do, because they're trying to build up NXT as like a legitimate third brand thing. 2 of their top superstars that are women are going to be on the NXT brand. I don't know why Adam Cole and Tommaso Ciampa are just going to be fighting in a random building instead of Mania, because they don't have much of a card except like 10 singles matches that are not going to end up exciting at all. And probably in the 10th 4-star classic, it's gonna be like a snore fest, because you already had, oh my god, we had 8 matches and we have 2 hours left type of show, and they think sorting it out for 2 days is going to actually be watchable in someone's experience. I don't know what WWE's marketing plan for this. I understand they gotta do whatever they can to survive over this pandemic, because nearly all businesses are failing because of this shit. Except hand sanitizers and toilet paper businesses are off the charts. But still, though, it is tough. And oh my god, this has just been aggravating me, because shout out to the one and only Jay Rance. I got the video off his idea, because obviously it has to go over the wrestling analyst from Wrestling Observer, David Meltzer, and of course, Brian Alvarez, the retarded indie jobber that he. At least he's been in the business. He's a wrestler, so I'll count from him. I don't expect much from Dave Meltzer, because literally his only shoe in for journalism is just his star ratings, and if the match had enough work rate and chemistry to work with very little storytelling, or this is going to be exciting for the next type of show or something. It's just such an outdated ideology. But I do watch the show, because sometimes I do like their conversations. But by God, sometimes I feel like they're like overly dumb with their matches. I mean, with their reviews. It gets aggravating. I just feel like these guys are just too overwhelmed with the type of wrestling everybody's doing nowadays. That it's like, oh, it would be way better if WWE had that. I'm sorry, folks. I'm not seeing Rikishi do a super 17 super kicks and a tope suicida. He ain't Keith Lee, and that's not made people like Rikishi. It's a silly dance he did with Too Cool. Somehow, I guess if you like the time he ran over Austin, and he did it for The Rock, his stink face, and his cool personality. Nobody cared about if anybody can do a 15-minute classic. People liked the characters, the storylines, the matches, the excitement, the adrenaline rush, the cool name for pay-per-views. Who the fuck names a pay-per-view goddamn stomping grounds? I would stomp on someone's nuts on the ground if somebody actually named the pay-per-view stomping ground. Fatal 4-way, capital punishment. It's just a whole lot of mess. And if you think that naming every fucking a special NXT does takeover. Like takeover what? Someone's patience, because I don't know why you name it takeover, and yet nobody remembers your shit unless it's called Dallas. There's nothing impressive about the name takeover, because you don't take over shit, because you made this little war thing with Survivor Series, and and still Raw and SmackDown doesn't reference you at all until it's significant or something like that. NXT is never going to be shown as an actual threat. Because at least ECW was shown to be an actual third brand, the start of its run back in '06. You guys been a developmental brand since 2010 and you'll stay that way. It don't even matter if you guys are airing the same time as Raw, you'll get pimp slapped. God. If any of you guys have thoughts on the Wednesday Night Wars, your opinion on it, I'll be really happy to listen, read, and probably reply. Because not a lot. I think people are always optimistic because this is the actual like show of two mainstream shows. One is a new one. One is a show trying to build himself from the ground up. So, uh, you know, people are excited for that. So obviously, you'll be seeing a lot of popular wrestling YouTubers. Anybody that you watch, like Raw Culture, uh, Culture, maybe whatever the fuck they call themselves now. They're just older Raw Culture dudes, and any other wrestling fans. Optimistic because it's the most you're gonna see from a competitive standpoint of actual like American rivalry wrestling, even though they don't do anything to make themselves show that they're trying to compete, even though uh AEW has the more important wrestlers. So yeah. I don't know how you feel about this. I already feel like this was a joke. There was no point for NXT to go to USA. There's no point for this at all. I mean, NXT's already fucking it up as it is with the way that they don't evolve their standpoint of NXT. So it's just done in that transgression. That's it for me. Sure to upload this at any time by now. So, boy, this is giving me a migraine. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want more. That's all I'm gonna say. I just can't help it.